So let's scoot a lot of these stuff over. So select all of everything and move it out of the way. We'll put it in the scratch space, and we have a paper here, or virtual paper here, the artboard, to do our next thing. Okay, so either with a line segment tool or with the pen tool, go ahead and draw several lines. Oops, Control-C. Draw several lines. Go ahead and click, click. Okay. And let's set this thing so that it is a so that we could at least see it. We'll put it to a 6-point line. Okay. One, two, three, four. So I drew a 4-inch line. I can go ahead and use our other tools. So click and drag. If I put it to shift, it's going to constrain the direction. If I put the alt key in there, it will copy. So I copy that. Let's do the same. Click on it. Shift key to constrain the direction. And then the alt key to copy. Alright. And use a rectangle tool to draw a rectangle down here. Something like that. Alright. So there I have 3 lines and a rectangle tool with no fill, so that there's nothing in this space. Okay. So what we're going to do is to manipulate these lines to kind of replicate what AutoCAD does with its line type. So this one is solid. Okay. So instead, we're going to now use one of these palettes right there. It says, go to the palette that says stroke. We see that the line weight is 6 points. Cap is at the butt cap, and so we don't want this round cap just yet. Corners, that's for the rectangle tool. And so right below the line strokes, it says dashed lines. Select one of the lines that you have drawn and then click on dashed line. Note that this has turned into a dashed line. When you put the dashed line on, it says dashed right here, and then you have a next part that says gap, dash, gap, dash. Okay, so if you want an equal dash or equal spacing, what we might want to do is to change some of these areas. So for the first one, if we say 24 and click onto the gap, it made a wider line. If I want the spacing to be a little bit smaller, maybe I'll type in 3, which is half of the 6 points, right? And then click on to the next one, and that made a line segment with a shorter gap. Okay. If we select another line, I'm going to probably need another copy, so I'll just copy it. Copy that so that we could demonstrate a little bit more. Okay. So the next line that we're going to select, we're going to make a dashed dot. Okay, so for that, we might select this to be a dashed line, but that gives me the last setting that I put in, right? So with everything in Illustrator, it's usually the last stuff that you put in is going to retain its setting. So right here, if we put this as, let's say 1, and then click, it made a 1-point line segment. We have a 3-point gap in between, but let's change this to 3. And then let's change this to 12. Another dash, that's 12. And then go back to one of the gaps being 3 again. And now I have a line segment that is a dashed and a dot, dashed and a dot. Okay, erase this one. I'll probably demonstrate with this one right here. Copy that. So this one right here, note that the cap is square. If I take this one and say that the cap is round, I don't have any spacing, so maybe I'll change the spacing around a little bit. Maybe this one is going to be 12-point spacing. And then take this, maybe, I don't know, 24. And then back to 12. And now I have a line something like this, but now I have a little round instead of a square, or instead of a point. So if I take this thing and do the same line spacing, 112, 112, 1, or 24, and 12 again. Oops. Whoops, 124. Whoops, I didn't get this right. 24. And I said I put this as 12. Somehow it didn't take. 12, 1, 12, 24, 12. And that gets me this the spacing very similar to this. I'm going to still keep it as the cap, butt cap right there. If I want to change this little line portion right here, which I have a little line, if I take this and change the first dash, instead of 1 point, I do have, if I put 3, it's going to get this a little bit wider. Since I do have a 6-point line, I think it was a 6-point line, yeah, 6-point line, if I change this to 6, oops, select, 6, now we made this thing so that the line segment looks, or the little dot looks like a square, right? So since we used a 6-point line width, if we use a first dash of 6 point, that'll make this thing look square. So again, if you want to refine this some more, this gap area right here, if you change that to 6 and change the other gap to 6, oh, I keep forgetting to select the line. Change this to 6 and then change the other gap to 6. It will make the spacing and the square in between look a little bit more uniform. Okay, I mean, you can make all these spacing as far or as close as you want. It's how good it's going to look on the page.